Okay, we are going to discuss today the preparation of project report. Very important in our course. How to prepare a project report and what are the content of project report in how to evaluate a project, do a project report, content, and presentation. Okay. Let's start preparation of project report. Project report is important. It's exercise in it's one of the question papers in the examination. So normally we call this as open paper examination, open book examination. That means this question is given. Reply. You have to give the reply as a presentation in the form of a report. It's called open book examination. You get 20 marks for this question completely if you are completed correctly. So let's see what is how to prepare project report first, and what are the important factors in the project report, and how to present the project report, and what are the information to be included. Now this project, if you talk about project report, there are different types of reports we are preparing in different objectives, different occasions. Normally, project report is called as a feasibility report, also called as a dissertation, assignment, like different terms used. The purpose of preparation for a report, for our report, is for to decide whether to grant a facility or not, right, for a bank finance. To do in the university or for examination purpose or examination in education purposes, we call preparation is little different. There you make hypertension, then you have to take collect information to see whether it is viable or not. To see whether it is viable or not. Now, preparing a finance report, report for a bank finance, little different. Let's see what are these factors. The project reports are essential building block for completion of a project. When you talk about a project, it's a venture. Customer is going to take up a business venture. In that business venture, the business plan, how you are going to implement is documented. That document is called project report. Or a business plan. When you documented it for how to do it, that's called project report. The project report must be prepared carefully with the sufficient details to ensure approval, appraisal, and finally funding for the final institution. The objective of preparing project report is to give the sufficient information about the project, give the information to appraise the project, and finally, if the bank is a financial institution accept that proposal, then the funding and the monitoring part, funding after disposal, the project report will be helpful. So it's a complex and comprehensive detail about a proposal project. The project report must be accompanied with executive summary. So I'll discuss what is executive summary later on. Points to be kept in mind while preparing a project report. The person, if any person prepares a project report, will keep in mind certain informations are there. What is a project report? What is the project? What is the meaning of a project report? What is the purpose of preparing a project report? That is very important. The objective. Now, what we prepare a project report for here in this class exercise is to financial project report, to give a credit facility for a customer, or to solve a customer's problem, we make a proposal. Basically, we prepare a project report for, I told earlier, for objectives getting finance. Right? Now, in this class, we are doing not only for getting finance, to different another purpose, how we should propose with a customer, how to go ahead with the customer. Right. Next is how to prepare a project report. What are the steps in? Right? Yeah? Okay. Right. Second is how to prepare a project. What are the steps involved in project report? What are the information needed in the project report? That has to be decided. What are things to be incorporated? What are the steps? So normally we discuss I'll discuss the general concept of project report and what are the generally what are the things should be included in a project report for preparing for a financial requirement for the bank, right? Then thereafter I will discuss step by step involving our project report, which we are going to present now by you all for this particular problem. To solve that problem, what is the proposal you are going to make it, right? But are all points to be covered in the project report? What are steps involved? What are the points to be covered? What are the information should be there? Internal information, external information, right? And it should be related to the project. All the information should be related to the projects. Whether any consultant or auditor has to be contracted to prepare a project report. In some instances, you may find you are not technically knowledgeable, or sometimes the subject matter of the customer may not be familiar to us. In that sense, the bank has to consult somebody outside, a consultant or auditor or a specialist in that field. For example, if you are going to do a project on certain for the financing of a certain project, that particular project information, if you are not available, if you are not very familiar to that area, or you are not a way to get information about that one, you have to consult somebody else outsider to get the project report, right? To evaluate the project report. How to express the bank manager about a proposed project for which you are required manager assistant. Now, this is a customer's point of view. That means you have to convince the management about the project, whether it's viable or not, whether we can grant this facility or not. Ultimately, you have to go to a solution, right? The solution is your yes or no situation. Okay, let's go ahead with what is meaning by no one can motivate you if you are not willing to do yourself. Project report is the same. No one can motivate you. That means project report you have to prepare by yourself. Most of the instances, what we try to get, sometimes you may find, you ask others to prepare a motivation report, project report for you. There are certain instances you get hired people, there are professionals are there who prepare motivation and project reports. Right? But the result of motivation, you get the project report prepared, but when you go to implement it, you don't know what is it. So you have to be very careful with that. Right? Therefore, the project report is one of the important key points that you yourself have to do it. You have to yourself have to involve in doing it. Get information, and so when you try to do it, it is interesting. Okay. Right now, this is also called as a feasibility report, whether the project is feasible, viable, or feasible. The feasibility study is defined as an evaluation of or analysis of the potential impact of proposed project or a program. What is the impact of the proposal? Is it viable or not? Feasible or not? Whether we can go ahead with the project or not? Whether we need an amendment or not? Or whether the project can be carried out as it is, or any alternative is available. What are the alternatives available? So when you analyze for a problem, specifically the feasibility report is prepared to solve a problem. Financing decisions are problem solving technique. To solve this problem, there can be other alternatives. So that will be highlighted or evaluated or be pop up when you do a evaluation, careful evaluation, analysis. It is conducted to assist decision makers in determining whether or not to implement a particular project or program. Right? To make the decision maker, that is, sometimes the branch manager yourself make decision. Sometimes you have to forward your proposal to a higher management for take a decision. When we are sending a proposal to higher management decision, then you have to convince the higher management about the viability of the project. So you have to do a lot of work, homework and external work to build up your idea to a proposable venture. That's called a project feasibility study. Feasibility study, there are three components to find. Based on extensive research. To do a feasibility study, you have to do a research. It can be researchers, there are different ways of doing researchers. You can just ask questions, send a question in some case. Or get information from external sources or internal sources, you may get information. So it has to be do a research, not on the based on the surface of it. You cannot make a decision in the lending without proper evaluation. That's what we learned from the beginning. So that proper evaluation is sometimes can be a research. You have to test certain hypotheses, whether it is workable or not. Secondly, contain wide range of data. Lot of data, internal, external data is information available. Can you remember when we discussed the recovery program? We discussed about information, external information, internal information. Where this information available with us? Information about the customer and business, environment, market, potential customer base, all the information we need come to a conclusion. Then should have a clear supporting evidence. So you cannot just say this is my certain ideas, like your ideas. Yes, your ideas can be given, but when you take somebody's or somewhere else information, it has to be clearly supported with evidence. That's the source of information. Bibliography and references has to be established. You have to give the established document from where you got it. So if you get it from internet or from the website, you have to refer that website from where you got that information. Why you do a feasibility study? It gives focus to a project or outline or alternatives. It focuses on the project. Now, for example, what we are going to discuss today, the project report is based only solving a customer's problem. So it is focused, outline, focused on that project. And outline what are the alternatives available, what are the options available. So the management or the bank can take most appropriate, most profitable, most viable already out of the best alternatives. So it will help us narrow the business alternatives. We have number of alternatives are available, number of roads are available to go to that place. What is the best way? Narrow the best alternatives. Leave out others. identify new opportunities through the investigative process. Now, if you are doing a project appraisal, proposal, investigate for a credit proposal, sometimes you may find there are alternative or other opportunities within that, right? One of the businesses, you may get several other subunits which can be support to a main idea, new opportunities. Or alternatively, new product may can develop using these opportunities, specifically credit field. New opportunities can be in this investigative process. You can find out. Identify reasons for not to proceed. Right? If you're coming for a conclusion that this is not, we are not going to proceed with this proposal, right? You have to give the reasons. So identify the reasons why we should not go with this customer. Why should we exit from this customer? What are the reasons? We say this prudent to exit, or whether are we going to continue? So why we should not go ahead with this customer? That identify the reasons. You have to give the reasons. And then reasons should be justifiable. You have to prove that this is justifiable. Enhance the probability of success by addressing and mitigating factors early on that could affect the project. What are the problems? What are the risks involved in the project? What are risk factors? And how to mitigate those risk factors? Right? So that will help for successfully address the problem. Probability of success by addressing and mitigating the factors early on that could affect the project. So, which can favorably or unfavorably. Right? What are success factor favorable or success factor unfavorable? So we can identify easily looking at that. Provides quality information for decision making. Quality information for decision making. The information should be quantitative and qualitatively we have to analyze. The quality of information must be strong to the extent of making the decision. What will happen if the information are vague, incorrect, or inadequate? Your decision is going to be failure. The decision is going to be failure. Most of the instances we need to talk about the bank recovery programs. Most of the recoveries fail because lack of information. The quality of information is not adequate, or inadequate information, or not, the information are not sufficient. Right? Sometimes informations are just manipulated or created information, not the factual information. So your decision is going wrong. So therefore, you have to get the quality information, factual information for make decisions. Provides documentation that the business venture was thoroughly investigated. So feasibility report is a document. It's a document about the business venture. So it has been thoroughly investigated. That it proves that we have gone into the detail of the particular venture in the business. Helps in securing funding from lending institutions and other monetary sources. If a project report is prepared for borrowing money from the bank or increasing capital base, issue shares or debentures in the market. So this feasibility report will give the support for that particular purpose. And finally, helps to attract equity investment. Now, equity investment we discussed in the earlier sessions, something like venture capital. It helps to attract investment, especially venture capitalists. They are investing not as lenders, as equity. Right. So we'll summarize this one again. What are the information important one is Pinnacle, gives the focus on the project. This narrows the business alternatives. Identify new opportunities. Identify reasons not to proceed. Provide valuable information for go, no-go decision, whether to go into the project or get rid of the project, favorable or unfavorable. Increases probability of business success, identify weaknesses early. So if you, by project analysis, evaluation, you can identify the probable weaknesses in advance, and corrective measures can be taken to rectify same, which will help for us to success of a business. Right. What are the uses of the feasibility? It is a business. Feasible business will and generate adequate cash flow and profits. That's a fundamental of a main objective of business. Generate adequate cash flow and profits. Profits are for the investor customers, cash flow for the bankers. Cash flow for the bankers, profits for the investors. It generate adequate cash flow and profit. You know what's the difference between cash flow and profit, no? Right? Cash flow is just surplus of cash. It is not profit always, because profit has to be realized. Profit has to be realized. Then withstand the risk, identify the risk, and risk. Then we can develop the risk mitigating instrument using the feasibility study. Business is, in the accounting terms, it's a going concern concept. This business is going to be running for an indefinite period, not a short term. Normally, business remaining viable in the long term, it's going for long term. So, therefore, the feasibility study is very important time to time when you come to do operations. When you are going to invest some business, or you have to, when the business is going to introduce a new product to the market, or the business is going to open another branch, the feasibility study is very important. Finally, meet the objectives of the organizers, founders. Their goals are the value addition, wealth, increasing the wealth. Right? Increasing the wealth means if you invest 100 rupees shares, when the profits are increasing, the business is expanding, the profit value may, the share value may go up, so your wealth is going up. Yes. Finally, wealth is easy. Right? But evaluate alternatives. Feasibility study helps to frame and flesh out specific business scenarios so they can be studied in depth. Frame out and flesh out specific scenarios. What business scenario is most profitable? What business scenario is helpful for us? We can get an idea on the feasibility reports. Right? In depth. Can be in depth, you can go find out what are the alternatives available. Any business, what are the dimensions of business viability? First one is the market viability, the most important factor in any business to be success. So most of the projects fail here because of the market failure. What is the market? What is the market? When you do a project evaluation for a new project or a new introduction of a new project, or when you're going to study about lending to a customer, right? We are analyzing the market using sometimes Michael Porter's 5 forces analysis technique. Sometimes. So who are the buyers? How the buyers are, their buyers' behavior. What's the size of the market? How many buyers are in that market? Whether the product is acceptable to the market. Because the market is the key for any back lender. Why? It is the sales. Sales is the repayment source. Our repayment source is sales. So sales coming from the market should be viable. Effective factors for the market sales are competition. The next factor we are and decide analyze the competitor analysis. Who are the competitors? What is the competitor behavior? And what is the challenge of the competitors? What are strengths and weaknesses of a competitor? The market viability we have to analyze. Now, what are the alternative products? So the substitute product available in the market. It's a threat to the customer's product. So everything will affect for the sales of that particular product, the market viability. So what we want to analyze the first the market. Second, technical viability. The customer has the technical knowledge to do that project. Right? Now we are talking in general. We need to do a project report. What are the things to be looked into? Right. The technical viability, the customer or the borrower has the required technical knowledge to do that. Technical know-how. It may be his experience, it may be his exposure, or it may be the learning process. He has learned something, external training. He has obtained externally by learning or training. Or some technical qualities are inherited. They are coming from inborn. Right? So what type of technical viability a particular person has in that business? Then what is the business model? What do you mean by business model? Is it a sole proprietorship? It's a partnership? Or it's a limited liability company? So different business models have different risk. We have to understand, we have to evaluate that risk. You compare with the sole proprietorship with a partnership. Sole proprietorship have a higher risk than the partnership. Because it's depending on one person. Partnership, at least one person to have something, the other partner will be there to carry on the business. With the company you should take, it is not the person, it's a legal unit, legal entity. So different models, which is more viable, more practical. The other important factor is the management model viability. Who is making decisions for the business? Who convert the ideas into the business? Who conceive the idea in the business? Business ideas are conceived, then it has interpreted for a business model. That's called management. So who is the person behind the management? That has to be evaluated. Then comes to economic and financial model viability. Right? So what is this financial model viability? What type of business unit from where the finance are coming? It is a selling organization or it's a service organization. What is financial model? Income sources, financial sources, how the structure of finance. So basically, what is the present, what is the past, what is the present, and the future projections. That's called financial model viability. Right? Preparation of future cash flow is a model of viability of future. Then comes exit strategy viability. Normally, we discuss this exit strategy viability applies in the venture capitals. In the business is viable, improving, to what extent the investor can get out from the project. That's called exit strategy viability. First one will take the market viability. What is this market viability? What are the components of market viability? What are the opportunities available in the market? Right? Sometimes there are different types of markets. Sometimes customer is producing a product to a market, niche market. So what are the opportunities mean in that particular market, whether the customer having opportunity to sell his product? What are opportunities available? If a bank is concerned, we know that our lending portfolios are gradually coming down. Comparatively previous year to this year, the portfolio has been reduced. So what are now we have to maintain our profitability, we have to find opportunities. What are opportunities available in the market? That has to be looked into. That's called opportunity. Right? So this opportunity can be a new product for the new market. That's one of the strategy. New product for a new market. Innovate a new product, innovate a new customer base. Then new product for the existing market. There's a market always. So introduce a new product to that particular market. Or existing product for existing market. As a product, as a market. So develop that particular product to needs of the market. That's called opportunity. In the target customer, who is the customer? The target customers. Basic customer, what the age group, what their preferences. That is very important. We discussed earlier what is market. Market is our key for a banker. That is the sales. So the target customer market has clearly understood. Then who are the competitors? What is the competitor behavior? Right? Competitors always try to grab the market in the competition to do certain strategies. So understand, when identify the competitor strategies as a business, if we invest in the business as a lenders. Size of the market, where the market is spread, right? So market environment and final distribution are two sides of a coin. Another substitute products available in the market for that particular product and the pricing policy of the customer. All this is affecting the viability of the project for the customer. Then finally, distribution system. What is the distribution pattern? Where the market is established, how the product is distributed. All these factors for analysis of a project, which is needed for a banker to look into finally whether surplus cash can be generated to a proper sales market. Market has to assess there to first and find market opportunities. If no opportunities exist, there may be no reason for proceeding any further. If the market is saturated or market is no more there, pointless spending money to invest on that particular product. Okay? So we are discussing the class a number of such products. Now taking the case of razor blades. Right? So razor blades are no more in the market. Cameras are dying in the market. New products are coming up. Opportunities are changing. So assess the market before you lend. Then business model. Next one is business model viability. Type of a business data, whether it's a sole proprietorship, partnership, or a company. The uniqueness of the model. Then competitors' ability to duplicate. Right? Now, the duplicate products are a competitor. How the competitor try to change the mind of the people. I give an example for the last few weeks. I saw in the social media there's a talk going on about some products in the Unilevers. I don't know whether you have come across. Lux and Lifebuoy soap contains chemicals which is hazardous to the skin. It will create possibility of increasing the cancer. Right? So that's the social media. Those big talks are going about this one. Even some politicians also promoting this concept. Today morning when I'm traveling in the morning bus, I saw in the bus stand, there are certain posters telling the same thing. Do you ever to rather chemicals adang sabar pavichya karala? Right? The poster. Finally, you find they are promoting another product called Champion to the market using that as an advertisement and the competitive behavior. So any lender, we have to be alert on those things. Any business, final objective is to create a value to the business. The value creation will increase the wealth of the business. What do wealth mean? For example, at the time of issuing the share, it was 10 rupees. After a period of time, share value has grown up to 35 rupees. So that means number of shares multiplied by share price, you can see the rate of wealth. The wealth has been increased. Share value increases, wealth is increasing. So any business, look for that model. Okay. Then the management model viability. What is the management? Who is making the decisions? Who make the decision? Application, knowledge, and skills. Most of the time, we found that our project reports, when we discuss the bankers, we ask for the promoter's background. We ask the promoter's background. What is his knowledge and skill? Capabilities. It is not a qualification, academic qualification, university degree or a master's degree on business management. Those are relevant, but when you're going to discuss about the management model, that is not very important. Taking the case of Navaloka, Dharmadasa Udalali, what was the skills he had? What the technical knowledge he had? Right? So he had created his own knowledge and skills by doing the business for over a period, and he established a very big business conglomerate. Taking a Perasas, who is a Perasas, the promoter, the innovator, who was selling print on the streets. So over a period, he gathered the knowledge, and he used those knowledge and skills to build a business model. That's called management model. Sometimes you may find the management concepts and other things can be obtained from a training, external training that can be gathered, and when you do put it into practice, it becomes becoming a skill. It becomes exposure. Okay, so the management part of the training is the look into new innovative things, specifically research. New researchers and training is very vital in management model viability analysis. Then other component things are employee management, another HR management. Managing the employees is also another art and a skill, very good skill. How best you manage your skills. And management intellectual property. What is intellectual property? It's the knowledge, techniques. The knowledge is called intellectual property. Right? So sometimes it can be put it in the property. It can be sometimes used as a tool for business purposes. So those are intellectual properties. Sometimes it can be registered in the intellectual property copyright. So no one can use that. Most of the instances you may find the intellectual properties are stolen and copyrighted. In the risk, management risk. Managing the risk, how to manage the risk. There are a number of components of risk we are discussing in the classrooms. Right? We discuss market risk, technical risk, credit risk, then different types of external internal risk. you can avoid the risk. So what we have to see in the project report is how best the customer is trying to manage the risk, mitigate the risk, identify the risk, and how to mitigate the risk. Then with employment management, you get the delegation of to the staff down the line. It is not one-man show. Management should not be a one-man show. So if you have one-man show, any moment that the risk of collapse can occur. Therefore, when it delegated to down the line, even the principal not there, business can be continued because it has been delegated to other people who have been trained to do the business. Then comes a suitable organization structure. This was another important tool. There are two types of organization structures in the business model you may find. One is hierarchical structure, other one is flat organization structure. A flat organization structure we call as Japanese model of management. So what suitable for this particular business or company structure. Then finally, how the measuring process, how the measuring criteria of the business process. What is the criteria for monitoring and measuring the growth and improvements? This is the financial terms. So sometimes can be a qualitative terms, not the quantitative terms. Right? Okay. Then comes to economic and financial viability. Specifically new businesses, startup cost. How much to start the business cost. Then the working capital requirement. Operating cost. The working capital we discussed, there are two components. Permanent working capital, revolving working capital. Then what is operational cost? So the operational cost, if not managed properly, the business entity may run at a loss. It's very crucial. Then raw material supply and raw material cost. Finally, overall return on investment. What is the expected return on the business? Overall investment, what is the return you expected? And finally, what is the overall profitability? What is individual product profitability? What is the total business profitability? At what point the break even of the business? What is the break even? No profit, no loss point. We can discuss in the financial viability. We discuss this. The sustainability of market versus projected revenue. What is your projected income pattern? What is your projected income either monthly, quarterly, annually? And what is the actual position? That's called market. And the sustainability of projected value or the market value. Finally, ability to generate an economic value, always finally end up with the value. Well, when you come to feasibility reports, there are three important objectives of preparing a feasibility report. Provide documentation that idea was thoroughly investigated. Any project report, proposal, and review report, feasibility study, it's a document. The documentation about your investigation, your investigate analysis. Help attract funding for lending research. If you prepare a project report for get funds from the organized financial institution, it will help them to get finance. Or help to attract equity investment. This is for a capital fundraising. Okay, the project report will help us do that. Right. Next one comes to technical feasibility. The technical feasibility is determining facility needs. What type of technical technology and the technical levels are applied, it will help us to find out what type of facility is appropriate for that particular technical feasibility. It is a loan overdraft for a leasing facility or current power, but guarantee what type of facility? Technically feasible. Sustainability of production technology. Suitability of production technology. Which but which technology is more suitable for that particular business? It is manually automated or depending on the suitability of the technology. Availability and suitability of the site. If a project is going to be located some place, what is the suitability of that place? Right? With the floods, the infrastructure availability, roadways, electricity, water, right? Then this close to river flooding situations. Those are taken into consideration. The feasibility study. The raw material supply chain, or where the raw materials are coming in, how when the raw materials are freely available, scarcity, raw material supplies the continuity chain of any production of a business, production process. Then what are the other inputs? Okay. So technical feasibility therefore includes three components. One is capacity. What's the capacity of the machine capacity, production capacity? Then what are resources needed to meet that capacity? What is the process, manufacturing process? Okay, next comes to financial feasibility. Is financial feasibility or economic feasibility? Right? What is financial? We discussed earlier also, it is about financial feasibility or economic feasibility. It is the structure of finance. How do finance needed? To estimate how much capital is required. How much of permanent capital, how much of working capital, how much of fixed capital for long term, how much of fixed capital for medium term, how much of working capital permanent, how much of working capital need for overall running capacity. So estimate entire capital requirement. Now this is coming with the structuring of credit. Right? Then how we are going to finance those capital? How much of equity? How much of external resources, that funds, credit funds? What is the mix with the equity and the credit? It will decide in the solvency of the business. And what is projected for future? And the projected cost and what's the return? Right? In other words, but how much you're going to spend, what is your return? You got to plan it and budget it for future. So those are parts of the financial feasibility, which includes again startup cost we discussed earlier. Same thing again, we have to touch on that. Finally, we have to come to a conclusion. Yes or no, we are going along ahead with the project or not. We are accepting the project or not. Are we going to lend on this project or not? That's based on the study results. Finally, your proposal also, we expected you have come to a conclusion. We are going with this project. We are accepting this or not. Right? What is the study results? Outline the depth of various business scenarios examined and the implication, strengths and weaknesses of each. Study, in-depth study before we make a conclusion, and do an in-depth study. Based on the result, we have to take a decision whether we are going to continue with the business or we are going to exit for the customer. That decision we have to take. The feasibility study will be a major information source making this critical decision. So what are the components of feasibility study? Right? Well-designed feasibility study should provide a historical background of the business or a project. well-designed feasibility study should provide a historical background. When you do a credit proposal, credit appraisal, this is what you do with the past performance. 3 years or 5 years financial you take statement, we do analysis and see where the business is going, what is the feasibility of past, historical background. If the historical customer is doing well, it is a guideline for a future project. It's a guideline for us future project. The trend, what was the trend, how the trend was managed, and it's a guideline for us. A description of the product or service accounting statements. We have to discuss with what product the customer is going to manufacture, going to sell, or produce the sales service. And how should the state prepare a statement on that? Details of the operations and management. This is internal operations, how business is going to be detailed, going to conducted or continue. Operations and the management, marketing, research and the policies, financial data, legal requirements and tax obligations, internal and external factors which can affect the business. Go into details in just analysis. Generally, feasibility studies precede technical development and project implementation. So, what are technical requirements need for project implementation? The feasibility study evaluates the project's potential for successes. Therefore, perceived objectivity is an important factor in the credibility of the study for potential investors and lending institutions. Perceived objective. What is your projected profit? What is your expected profit next year? Whether to repay this facility, this much of income should be generated. This is perceived idea, it's an assumption. And you plan out in the project report how to go into that place, how to achieve that, how to lending institution, how to go to potential success in that potential going to that perceived objective. That's what your management will look into when your proposal is taught for their decision. How best the perceived objective is going to achieve, how you are going to achieve that. It must therefore be conducted with the objective, unbiased approach to provide information upon which decision can be made based. When we start a proposal saying that this is not successful, it never gets success. If you're thinking that customer is a willful defaulter, you will never be able to do a recovery proposal just in the correct way. Because you're biased that is, and all the decisions are because your internal mind is biased, all your proposal and direction are going towards that direction, not unbiased analysis. If you do unbiased analysis, all the alternatives you can see. If you are biased in your analysis, you won't get any alternative. You end up with only one result, only one answer. So therefore, always try to be open-minded. Okay, which child can describe your present situation? Who can see far? Who can see your objectives? Who can see your vision and mission? Where the face are, the directions are. You may see that. The C and I are sleeping, like ourselves, right? Right? There are certain people, all of them which are in the country, E, F, G. Their objective is different. They are not visionary. D and H going up and down. But I is trying to Go ahead, starting. Okay. So each child, A and B can see, but A is more on that visionary look than B. You can see this is how a business model has to be evaluated. As a banker, we should see all the required aspects before we come to a conclusion in lending, as well as when you continue with lending. The feasibility assessment, there are three levels: operational, technical, economic. Operational feasibility, whether the system will work, operational system will work, whether this expenditure is sufficient, this cash flow is sufficient. Technical feasibility, can you do it? Whether you have a know-how. And economic feasibility is sense of where ultimately will it generate profits. Ultimately come for profitability. Okay, right. Now let's start with our report writing. How we do your report, how to write a report. A report is means to convey some information to others. Your objective with preparing this project report is to convince your management about your proposal to solve the problem of a customer. Right? I always mention about in the recovery program, customer's problem is our problem. If you solve the customer's problem, our problem is automatically solved. We look at a problem from our point of view, but we have to look at the problem from customer's point of view. Our point of view problems will remain unsolved every day. Will be remaining same. But if we solve customer's problem, our problem will automatically solve because there won't be any problem for us from that customer. So therefore, a project proposal about the customer's credit need, sometimes you may have to prepare a report to get the approval of a higher management. Right? So therefore, the report is a means to convey some information to others. Who is others? To high management. Convey some information. Convince the high management about your proposal. That's the objective of writing a report. It's an organized, factual presentation of information. You gather information, collect information, internal and external information. You orderly arrange it. It should be factual, not the false information. Factual information, and to organize in a manner which can be understood clearly by the reader or the higher management. Organizing is follow systematic pattern. What are steps? One by one. Introduction, market, product, the competition, profitability. Likewise, this is organized with the subheadings. Objective should not be influenced by your personal feelings. But I feel like this. Most of the projects are failed because your project reports start with your imaginary information, not factual information. So when you're going to do with imaginary information, the success is depend on how best your imagination. Imaginations are normally not factual. We assume, for example. Report is comprehensive document and covers all aspects of subject matter for study. It's a comprehensive document. Use all aspects of the study matter. Yeah. When you're supposed to prepare a project report, We expect you to go to all aspects related to that subject, and prepare a comprehensive document. It's called report writing. The key differences in a report is it presents information, not an argument. It can be argument, not in a feasibility report. Arguments are in dissertations. When you're writing a dissertation, you are building an argument. You are building a hypothesis, and you are trying to prove or disprove that hypothesis. Make an argument. But when it comes to writing reports, specifically financial credit needs reports, are systematically organized way of presenting information. It's meant to be scanned quickly by the reader. The moment reader goes through, he should be able to visualize the picture of that particular customer. This is the weakness we are having. Why our proposals are written by the management? Very frequently. 2-3 times written. Why? They cannot scan the customer and the proposal clearly through your report, your presentation. Either it can be insufficient information, or presentation is not, chain is not clearly moving, step-by-step process is not there. That can lead to a project proposal unaccepted. Right? So basic objective is when you're sending a proposal to higher management, they should be able to see the customer through your report, because you are not seeing the customer. The branches, people who work in the branch, managers and the credit officers, they know who is the customer. But the authority does not know the customer. So you have to scan the customer through your report. Uses numbered headings and subheadings. So when you present, it is not just a continuous letter, non-stop. No, it has to be broken into subjects, headings and subheadings. Uses short, concise paragraph and dot points where applicable. When you ask to write a report, right? In the short form you write. Right? Don't write long sentences. Don't use the technical terms most of the instances. Use only a simple language. Then paragraphs should be concise with the short, concise paragraphs. And wherever needed, you give the information in the point form, dot points. Uses graphics wherever possible. Tables, graphs, illustrations. When you download it for somewhere information, present it. Along with that. That will help the reader to get an attraction on reading the project report. Does not always need references and bibliography, but sometimes, some instances you need. When you refer something refer somebody, that information from where you got the information has to be recorded. That for future references, as well as a reader to go through and see if the references are relevant to the topic. Right? Some project reports I have seen on the bibliography of the reference page, they are given some references. So when you go to the references, you open it up the references, that is not related to this topic you are talking. Because you have to use some references, you are writing some references. Actually, you are not referring to the references. So write down what your references you have made, of whom you got the information, or which source you got the information. That should be done. Bibliography, yes, of course, books and other research papers you are studying. Note down those things. It's often followed by recommendations and appendix. Right? Your conclusion should be there. After do analysis, proper analysis, you have to do a conclusion. Yeah, finally, your recommendations has to be given. Okay. Management lesson is never start a project unless all the resources are available. Don't start a project without before you start, everything is available. Right? All information what you need before writing the report, see all the information what required are collected by you. And the other factor is the time factor. Don't wait for the last minute. You should have a schedule. Okay. Now let's see the structure of a report. What are the how this report should be written? First is the title page. Name of the report. It's called title page. Then inner pages are table of contents. Table of contents and their page numbers. So you can refer immediately content and their page number, you can refer easily. Then if you use any abbreviations or glossary, write down those abbreviations. What are the abbreviations? Ltd, Limited Liability Company. GOL, Government of Sri Lanka. CB is the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Like this. In a short form, if you use inside your report, the abbreviations, they give the meaning of this abbreviation on the third page. Then if you have referred somebody or something, got the advice or instruction for somebody, do acknowledge them. Acknowledge them. Right? So you give them their names and what type of help they are given. Right? Your thanks to be given to them. That's called acknowledgement. It will give your credibility of the actual loyalty to the information source. Is the acknowledgement. Then the abstract is the abstract called executive summary. Executive summary or the abstract means giving you in a nutshell about the entire study and the your conclusion, final conclusion. In a nutshell, in summary form, that's called abstract. Abstract or executive summary. Now, reader who is going to read the report, first read the abstract. Next, executive summary. By reading the executive summary, he can change. He can build his mind whether to read it or not. The abstract gives you the nutshell of the information. Then the other part is the introduction and the body. Introduction. What is the introduction? What is the proposal you are giving? What purpose here this project is prepared? What objective? And what is expected from this project? Introduction is that. So abstract should not go more than one page. Introduction also should not go more than one page. Then the body of the report. If the product is a project or product of the project, is the market, the environment, technical or financial, all evaluation should be there in the body. Ultimately come to conclusion. Conclusion means your decision, your recommendation. Based on these thesis factors, you recommend to do this. You recommend to grant this facility for a period of so long. So that's the conclusion. I have seen sometimes some there's no report has everything analyzed. There's no conclusion. Recommendations are not there. With the granting a facility or not there, that is not finally decided. Okay. This is finally bibliography. That is the references and books you are referred. And because secondary source of information you are referred should be included in the bibliography. Right. That's a structure project. We'll discuss later about our project. Teachers open the door, but you must enter by yourself. Teachers can't take you to the forward. Our role is to show you the way. You open the door. You open your mind, evaluate your mind, and develop your mind. The career is yours, but you must enter by yourself. යන්න තමයි. අතින් අල්ලන් යන්න බෑ කාටවත්. ඒ ගමන තමයි යන්න ඕන. Okay. Right. This also I will try to discuss කරපු දේවල් summarize form එකේ. This but content of a study, first purpose or scope of the study, I make a why you are doing objectives. Why the objective of doing this proposal? And what are sources of information? So the time factor, how long you are taken to do that. Secondly, description of the present situation. Organization setting, current systems, related factors and constraints. What is the present situation? From where to that means from where you are going to start. When you discuss about a customer's problem or recovery, for example, you have to start from where you are. Present situation is this. How many installment due? What are the securities there available? What are the outcomes of your discussion with the customer? That is present situation. Then what problem you are trying to solve? What problem the customer? Describe the customer's problem. Why the customer defaulted? Why the reasons? What's wrong with the present situation? What changes are needed? Right? Solve the problem, what your proposal. That part is important. In objectives of the new system, goals and relationship between them. Introduce a new system, right? Of course, well, and show the objectives of new system. Then possible alternatives. What are the alternatives solutions you have? Including do nothing. That's one of the solutions is do nothing. Today's context, we know that do nothing doesn't have to be enough for some time. Criteria for comparison. Definition of the area. We study we compare the alternatives and define what is what based on this comparative. What criteria is comparison? Analyze of the alternatives. What are different alternatives? This way. For example, if we analyze the customer's recovery, whether you are going on rehabilitation, you are going on a restructuring, or you are going on a exit strategy, you are going to solve the assets and recover. What are the alternatives available? So you describe each and every alternative, and finally, which one is much benefit. Analyze the cost benefit. If you file action in a court of law, it will take time consuming about 5 to 6 years, 7 years of time. So much of cost to be incurred. By the time you have cost to income, what is the benefit you are going to get? If your credit proposal, outstanding balance remaining same till the court case is over, end of the year, plus you have lost. So see, look for what are the alternatives available. Then what are the recommendations? Finally, you have to recommend the proposal to the management. You recommend. You may recommend that interim solution and a permanent solution. Short term, long term. Immediately you have to do this, and thereafter you continue with this. And recommendation has to be given. In appendix are document is supporting evidence. Common mistake in a report writing is most is boring. What you are going to tell is the reader cannot understand. Right? It is very boring. Your presentation is boring, but it's not attractive. That's why most of the presentations are included with the graphical forms. So you impress about something, a point in a graphical form, statistical form, pictures, so to reduce the boldness. So any project report, you have to get that, see that it's not boring. Basically, the language is one factor making boring. Some instances we found that we are not actually going to in details about the grammatical grammars and language skills. If we have given the convinced idea, that is sufficient for us. But in official matters, the language is very important. What language you use, right? I'll tell something about when I reading some of the reports, I found some of these candidates using this SMS language. SMS language, short form again, messages message format ඒකෙන් ලියනවා report එක. Because of BCOS forever for හතරයි ඒව ඒ වගේ using this what do you call SMS language. The report is an official document, instrument. So be careful about writing this short SMS language. Right? The boring is because of your presentation is not attractive. You should like reading a novel or reading a story. It should be attractive. Most common things is errors. Errors occurs due to certain factors. When you are presenting certain information which is not just evaluated properly, you may find there are errors. And today in the morning also we discussed some viva of a project report. Now, for example, in the project report, right, customer sales, annual sales shown as 1.6 billion. 1.6 billion annual sales. Then the profitability is analyzed and a certain amount of a profit also shown. When you come to the other page, working capital finance. So calculate the working capital finance about 600,000 per month. Breakdown also given. Raw material 300,000, other expenditure 200,000, and depreciation 100,000, altogether 600,000 monthly expenditure. Now I asked on that candidate, now monthly expenditure is 600,000, what is the annual cost? Multiplied by 12, no? It is 7.2 million. So you are projecting a cost of 7.2 million. And your projecting income is 1.6 million. How can you be the project becoming viable? expenditure and income are big variation. So this type of, when you do some, what you call, imaginary figures, assume figures, this can happen. This type of errors can be happen. Sometimes you download some of information from the website. Sometimes that particular information is not related to the project. Right? Some of the participant candidates copy some others' information. යාළුවන්ගේ share කරගන්නවානේ. යාළුවෝ මුල් එකක් ගැහුවා නම් ඒක සිස්පිල්ල පාපිල්ල නෑර copy කරපෙකෙත් තියෙනවා. Okay. Next most other important point is lending, because we are producing this report management. It is not time to read all the literature you are going to produce. ලොකු වැල්වටාරන් ලිව්වට කියවන්න යන්නේ නැහැ. කියවන්න වෙලාවක් නැහැ. There's no time. High management. So the length is very had to be limited. If you ask to write a report to 2,500 words, try to make it within 2,500, not more or no less. The length. So sometimes some candidates think that long reports, writing long reports, will get more higher structure, higher marks. Never. When we were small, actually, now when we were before I something about it, when the universities, right? When the students at the universities when the examination will उत्तर लियाने क्या हुआ? इतनी इसी बात के लिए ये writer, right? They have a skill of writing. Sometimes if you question तुरा करता है आंसर कर लेते एकम आंसर लेते हैं question नहीं होती है उपकोम एकम दे बता लिया नोटे संपूर्ण कटावाना कर लिया subject relevant है ठीक है नहीं फिर going to length वाली करा लिया अब matter रहेगा out again point के लिए क्या so you write something else in the disasters. So length has to be decided. University के disaster की ना मैं आर्टिकल जो मैं लगाऊंगा हम लाखों में लेंगे. You measure it from the yardstick and give marks. If you can say high well liyan no. So make it very short and concise, straightforward, point form. Give your text. Maximum 2,500 limit words. Right. Now it's just start your project report. You are given time till 14th of February, I think. February 14 වෙනිදා කල් දීලා තියෙනවා. දැන් ඉස්සර හදන්න ඕන. Okay. So you plan it out. What are the information you need, from where you are going to get it. So like this week I'm going to use this information, and next week I'm going to consult so and so, so and so, so and so. Third week I'm going to write down all this, start writing the report. By fourth week, I'm ready to deliver. Prepare a Garnet chart. It's called Garnet chart. Then keep a logbook and make a list. What are things to be done? What are the information to be collected? Make a list. Document and keep track of all, to always write down your ideas. Ideas consume in a lot, immediately Samara notepad. So, bus note idea cabinet, available because in next moment you may forget it. Right? Samara idea generated in toilet. Toilet all forgot. Why? Note take a notebook kernel and the Diagan. Samara in that ideas. So try to jot down your ideas. Document and keep track of the collected information, data. Going information sources, information source when you are trying to write the report, source of information you have forgot from where you got the information. Therefore, document it. Write a report every day or regularly. Continuously, we understand. Unfortunately, we are very busy. Therefore, we have started writing the report just one day before the closing date. Last week, it is not the way. You plan yourself to it. Make your writing interesting and clear like a story. I was telling earlier also, it's like reading a story. Until we can manage the time, we can manage nothing else. Peter Data says you have to manage the time. Most of the instances, last minute participants calling and asking, Satya called in the world, I had some work. There are controllable factors, there are uncontrollable factors. Last time, in the last course, Masatula lockdown, shutdown, ගෙදරම හිටියා. ඊට පස්සේ ඉලනවා කල්ලිලනවා ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් රිපෝට් එක ලියන්න. මාසතුලක් ගෙදරම හිටියා. So still they are trying to do it. So that's what we suggest, prepare a chart. Right? You have to manage your time. Believing in yourself is the first secret to success, that you can do it. Don't trust others. Time to yourself. Very important. So that's all about the theory part of the project writing, discussing. Right. So let's start going through the guidelines for preparing project report and the project proposal. Break to be discussed. The guidelines are given to the guideline preparing a project report. So objective of preparing the project report, okay, basically two things. Normally we are not preparing project reports, right? Now here, this project report of what you are preparing is for the purpose to submit to the management to get the approval. You know, we know that we have to apply, get approval for get a proposal when you put recovery proposal, we have to get approval from the management. So here purpose is that. Normally when you do a project report on the other factors for the customer has to prepare project report and submit to us. We have to evaluate and analyze project report, the viability of the project, and whether we can go ahead with the project or not. That's normally expected from a project report. So now what we have to prepare now is for you to do it today is this project report. We are trying to propose some solution for customers' problem. Okay, so this approach is little different than what we are going to discuss in this. What you are given the guidelines. This guideline is for general, right? Therefore, don't mix it up. So this guideline for generally how to prepare a project report. Right. Basically, the project report part of the question paper carries 20 marks. This is a question paper. Normally, we call this as a open book examination. Project reports assignments are called as open paper project assignment, open paper examination. So this carries 20 marks straight away. So your written examination, your 100 marks will be weighted for 80, and this 20 will add to that. That means you have to score high, more than 50, right, to get 50 marks in your examinations. So when you get 50 marks, with 20 marks added to that, that means at least you will get 50 marks in the written examination to pass, to come to the average rate of 35. 35 and 10, 35 you can get it. Okay, so it is compulsory and fails to submit before due date when you are not eligible for diploma certificate. So it's a compulsory for submitting this within the due dates. It's compulsory. Objective to develop skills and knowledge to analyze the project feasibility report submitted by your clients for the general other in normal credit appraisal. When we ask you prepare project report for credit appraisal on the customer. So when your customer bring a project appraisal, you should be able to analyze that. So that skill you have to develop. That's what the objective, one first objective. Second objective to evaluate student ability to analyze a credit proposal. In depth, apply the techniques, concept and theories learned in the course. Now this is what we are going to, I am going to look at your project report. During this entire course, we have studied number of concepts, number of principles, number of applications, techniques. To what extent you are using those when you are coming to application level. Now this proposal is an application. How you practice, going to practice it. And the practice level, how you are going to practice this. That's what we are going to look into. Thirdly, to develop skills to preparation of reports to higher management, recommending credit proposal. This is what we are going to do today. This project report, what we are going to do is to recommend higher management your credit proposal. In other words, you have to sell your what you call skill and your ability of analytical skills to your higher management. You have to show your capabilities of your proposal. This proposal should not return back from the management, asking for clarification and then and there. So we have to keep in mind very important thing is under the delegate authority regulation structure in the banks, whenever customer is defaulted, branch manager's delegate authority has been withdrawn for that particular customer or any other credit facility. Therefore, whatever proposal for recovery of the defaulted facility, you have to prepare a memo, put higher management for get approval because you don't have a delegate authority. So always, whenever it comes to recovery of defaulted facility, your proposal has to be submitted to a high management. So when you are preparing a report like this, you have to what are the information to be included in your report is very important. Okay, right. What is the structure of this project report? Firstly, I give the structure earlier also. What are things to be included in the project proposal report? It is the cover page, in the content page, in the page numbers, right? Then the any abbreviations. Then comes the executive summary. Next page. Executive summary will be, in a nutshell, you have to give outcome of your analysis. What is this project? What purpose you are doing this project? And what is your evaluation? And what is your recommendation finally? In a summary form, with maximum 1 page. That's called executive summary. So the reader or the high management, whoever reading this subject proposal, let's see the executive summary and then getting an idea about yourself. Getting about idea that or about your proposal, about yourself, to go into details in the details in your project report. Then it comes to first chapter is the introduction of the proposal. In the introduction of the proposal, what is the proposal? What is the objective of submitting this proposal? What is the objective of submitting this proposal to the management? That has to be briefly described. Background of the customer, present position of the facility, and what is the purpose of preparing this report? Objective of this one. That could be the introduction. Then comes to overall industry, right? Now, what industry's customer is involved in this business? What is the present position of the business? What is industry? The industry includes the market and environmental analysis. Market analysis and environmental analysis. What are the factors? So, market analysis basically use 5 forces analysis, Michael Porter's. That is, who are the customers, what is the customer base, what is the size of the customer, what is the market share, market stability. Then the competitor position, who are the competitors, how many competitors are we, how many people are in the business. Thirdly, what are the alternative substitute products, the substitute products available, and for the particular business, right? Then internally, what are the rivals? So the Michael Porter's 5 forces analysis can be applied, one of the techniques. Okay, so interaction, the overall industry, what is industry? Now this particular case, okay, what is industry? This is vehicle import industry. What is the present position of the industry? What was the past? So you have to give statistical information about the industry. Overall industry position, statistical information. So you can get the information from the customs, right? Sri Lanka Customs website, if you go, you may find the information about the vehicle imports industry in the past, how many vehicles were imported in the past, what is the present position, right? Then the value of the market size, how many registered importers are there in the market, who's in a competitive environment, how many registered are in the importing vehicles. That information also available in there are certain Society of Vehicle Importers organization is there, right? Their website, you can find out information. Who are the people who are going to import. Then the Chamber of Commerce, of course, you have much information. Central Bank report, there you get information about the imports and the past history of the imports. What type of vehicles are imported, brand new vehicles so much, agriculture vehicles so much, what type of vehicle they are imported, bicycles, 3-wheelers, cars, commercial vehicles, agriculture vehicles, likewise, breakdown of vehicles. Then this is the market, right? Analyze what product in this market. Then you can find out information on statistics, census and statistical department. They also have information on their website. So visit these websites to find out the facts and information which you are going to produce to the management, to give the background, how the industry, whether industry is sustainable, can go ahead or not. What your proposed solution should go along with that. Okay, right. Then what is the present industry situation, and the analysis of the present position. And what is the product? Product is vehicle. What type of product? The different types of product, and how this market fluctuates, and the product range from where these products are getting out. A Japanese market, Indian market, European market, right? Different markets. Vehicles are coming to Sri Lanka. So what are the size of this production? Is the market in the product. Then who are the promoters and their background? Who is the promoter? Who is this person? Who is their background? How long he's been in this business? What are his strengths in this business? Right? How successful in this business in the past? So statistical information are not given. Right? Don't imagine statistical information about the customer, because it is, I thought it's not necessary, but to discuss the present position and go for future. Okay, then and the qualification, experience, etc. we have to discuss. Right, then existing state of the business, whether existing activity, product line, area of market, etc. That's where we have to discuss about the present position of the market, competitors and other things, markets, how many people are in the market and what is the present position. So there are vehicle importers associations, only 3,000 vehicles only available in the market at the moment. What's the demand for the vehicles, right? And so the how the what are the external factors affecting this market, right? How this market was flourishing in the past, by the reasons, where to find out. Basically, why this the market was so established, so number of people involved in this vehicle imports. Why, right? The industry people in the industries have been numbers increased during the past 5-6 years or 10 years time. By the reason, and analyze it, right? So this establish the market situation. Right? And then comes to the financial stability of the company. So past performance I have not given here. I have not included past performance of the company. But if you are going through the information what I given, these accounts were operating successfully without any difficulty, without any obstacle. That indicates that financially viable and doing well. Right? So the past, the recent past, only the problems are started, and we know that what are problems. So don't generalize the problems. Go for specific case. Right? Then what is the future? Okay. So what is the future of the market? Can we go ahead? Right? What are the conditions available affecting this market, and how best we can go ahead in this market? Right? Then what are the internal and external environment analysis, internal factors? What are the strength of this customer? Can you hear me? There's a message. There's a message coming. Can you hear me? Okay. What are strengths of this strengths in the market? Strength in the customer, right? Internal strength. Then what are the opportunities available? Whether this industry can be, and what the future of this industry? Right? What are suggestions? So you may go through the news press reports, press conferences conducted by this Vehicle Importers Association. There are two associations, 2 or 3 associations are there, importers. So their opinions, they have certain paper reports were there, press conferences were there regarding this position. So try to find out those things and try to nourish your report with that all information. Then external factors, political factors, how directly and indirectly affecting the political decisions involving directly and indirectly. The pricing policies, in whatever the last 5 years, how the political influence was there for this industry, right, to lead to the present position, and what is the future of this industry. Then what are the economical factors affecting this industry? Economical factors. How best can. Then what are social factors? social factors, don't try to write only general factors specifically for this industry, but other social factors, environmental factors, economical factors like fuel prices and effective fuel prices. So directly and indirectly linked with these things, right? Then technology, technical and technological factors affecting, right? Then the environmental factors, right? Environmental factors and the legal factors, what are more related to this industry, right? So analyze and discuss. Yeah. Finally, you have to come to conclusions and recommendations. Right? Conclusion is summarize for all the discussion we had in the paper, step by step, everything, and come to your conclusion. This is what you have to do. Yeah. Then you give the recommendations. What action should we take to recover this facility? Then, in the report, whatever your information collected from websites, external information, you made somebody and discuss some with somebody, some sources of information, list it out, bibliography and the references. Okay, so that's all about the guidelines. So let's go to our project, straight away discuss about the project. What is this project? Right. This project report is in the project proposal is with you now? Okay, I'll just read it first. Then we'll discuss little. Jatilaga Traders Private Limited is a prime customer of your bank, operating his current account since year 2000. So he is business with you for last 2 decades, more than 20 years. Is business with your customer. So Samantha Jatilaga is the managing director, and other directors Mrs. Shakila Jatilaga, wife of Mr. Samantha Jatilaga. So husband and wife are the directors of this company. It's a private limited company. Jatilaga Traders Private Limited is engaged in importing motor vehicles from Japan. So that's the main business, is importing motor vehicles from Japan. Mr. Jatilaga has established a branch in Japan to collect and export vehicles from Japan. So he's having a branch of this Jatilaga Private Limited and in Japan also, to collect vehicles and to export to Sri Lanka, to his mother company in Sri Lanka. So he collects vehicles, he personally select the vehicles from in Japan and exporting to his own company in Sri Lanka, which will be doing the trading part of it. Says Jatilaga Traders Private Limited, enjoying following credit limits with your branch. A letter of credit limit of 35 million, a permanent overdraft limit of 35 million. So, letter of credit limit of 35 million, and to retire the bills, right? When the imports are coming, retire the bills, permanent OD facility of 35 million also there with you, they are operating this too. Both facilities are secured by a mortgaging his vehicle showroom situated at Pigaboo. So this both 35 million was secured by a property mortgage, fully secured, right? The property mortgage. For sale value according to valuation report is rupees 59 million. The property mortgage to the bank is the valuation report, for sale value is about 59 million. Present balance of the OD facility stands at rupees 39,578,681.28. This is a balance as a date in the permanent overdraft. Balance is a permanent overdraft. Further, you observe that no operations in the account since February 2020. So the account is not operations since February 2020. So you can see what could have happened. the limit of 35 million is increased to 39 million. That increased by 4.5 million. Increase, it has been increased. Over the limit now, account is in now over the limit. The reason you know why. Right? You have to find out the reason. 2 freezer trucks remaining in the stocks valued at rupees 4.5 million. Only 2 trucks available in the his showroom at the moment. No other vehicles. The company had obtained a moratorium offered due to COVID-19 pandemic situation by the government for 3 months in March 2020. Right? March 2020, the government had given a moratorium due to the COVID-19 pandemic situation. So the customers obtained that facility. And your bank has debited the accrued interest on 30th September 2020 amounting to rupees 1.8 million. So the accrued interest has been debited about 1.8 million to the account after the moratorium is over. Mr. Jayatilaka also maintained a sole proprietor account in the name of Jayatilaka Enterprise at XYZ Bank. He had obtained a POD facility of $4 million against fixed deposit of 4.5 million. Present balance in his account stands as 3.5 million. So another account he is having at XYZ Bank, where he is a sole proprietor in that business, and that account stands as 3.5 million OD with a 4 million POD facility. Mr. Jayatilaka informs that 10 vehicles remaining at his yard in Japan ready to export to Sri Lanka. So whatever vehicles purchased in Japan is remaining in his yard ready to export to Sri Lanka. According to Central Bank regulation, you have not transferred the OD limit to non-performing section and continued in the regular section accruing interest. This is the present position of that account. It has not been transferred to NPA, but still remaining in the regular section. As the NPA position of the bank increasing, management requires you to expedite the recovery of NPA facilities. Prepare a recovery proposal to management for this approval, for their approval. Now this is, although nearly about now, since the operation since February means, it is nearly about 6 months is in the overdue section. It is not transferred yet because it is, since it is not transferred to overdue, it is not appearing as a, not appearing in the NPA section. Now what is the present position? You have to analyze that. Right. So now we have to do a proposal to the management. What are the sub matters relating to this, and what are the proposals we are going to make to recover this facility? Okay, so let's go through the what are the things, the introduction of the proposal. Okay, right? Then that is what the customer's request, what is the customer's business, and what is the request. This is not the customer's request; it's the management request to bring a proposal to recover this facility. Are we going to further analysis? What options available? Right? Then analysis of the overall industry. So I earlier also mentioned about this. What is the vehicle market, vehicle imports industry, vehicle importing vehicle industry? I told you earlier, I'll get information from the customs, information from the Chamber of Commerce, information from the Vehicle Importers Association, information from the Census and Statistics Department, Central Bank report for the last 3 years or 4 years, statistically, information about the number of vehicles, value of vehicles, types of vehicles imported in Sri Lanka. That you can give a picture of the background of this industry, right? Then particular industry, what is the particular types of the, and what types of products. Now this particular customer, what is the important? You can see they have some freezer trucks in the stores. So that means he's dealing with freezer trucks. He may be using his business for using freezer trucks. So any suggestion you are going to make to recover this facility, divert the product. So what is the market for freezer trucks in Sri Lanka in the future? Whether we are going to continue with this business, if we are going to import only freezer truck, what would be the market? Who are the buyers of this particular product in the market? So you have to analyze that market. Buyers of the freezer truck market. If you are going to import freezer truck, or you are suggesting him to divert to some other products. If so, what is the strength of that market? How many people, what do you call, traders are involved in that business? How many importers, how many traders, right, involved in this business? And what is the competitive position of this market? And what is the profit margin of these products? Right? Whether it's viable to continue with this business. Right? Then right now, next year we analyze why the customer has not operating his account, what the problem is account. Right? Now, what is the outcome of this result to the bank? Now, you are preparing not from the customer point of view, regarding you are preparing a report to the management, right? Therefore, you have to analyze and see, tell the management about it. You have not transferred it to NPA section. So, what is the repercussions or outcome of such a situation? Right? So, we have discussed in the recovery program for you what are the central bank guidelines, regulation regarding this industry. What are the central bank guidelines in this regarding this industry? Time to time, they are changing certain LTV, loan to value rates are different changing. And then there are certain other activities regarding what you call it is impairment regulations. Impact discuss what is moratorium and how the central bank guidelines regarding the moratorium discuss. Right? So customer obtain a moratorium. Moratorium what is moratorium? Central bank guideline moratorium. How you apply this? Whether you apply in correct manner or not. Right? What is your responsibilities in applying this moratorium? So how you advise to the customer regarding applying this moratorium? Can we debit the customer's account at the end of this moratorium period? What's the central bank guideline about that? Discuss these things. Because you have to structure your answer, your proposal, what proposal you are bringing, depending on this. Okay, the central bank guidelines regulation relating to the impairment regulations. So you have to provide, whether you are providing impairment regulation under that, if financial this CRS 9 under regulation, are you making provisions? Right? So what is the impact on your P&L about this customer at the moment? Supposing this customer is transferred to NPA, what will happen? Right? When the moratorium period is over, when the central bank instructions when it's going to end. Then if you have transferred NPA, what the impact of that to your one. Then finally, what is your proposal for recovery? So we discussed number of options available for a banker. Go for it, the recovery options. So what option and what is alternative? What option, what alternative? So fundamentals we had discussed, can you remember? So now answer answer read karega. Right? These are the proposals and how you are going to do the recovery. So make it sure amaru straightforward the last time compare is very simple project report argument this time. Last time I given external environmental factors, international markets study recovery program. But here, of course, I am given very simple recovery problem with the current situation, with the current problem in the environmental factors. So the current COVID-19 situation and current situation in the country, right? Our economic situation, right? Our foreign exchange position, and the government policies. All these things has to be discussed before you come to a conclusion. Finally, you propose your proposal, how to do the recovery, right? What is the strategy? And you prepare a recovery plan. Finally, prepare a recovery plan for this proposal. Whether you are applying going along with the customer or going to apply exit strategy with the customer. If you apply exit strategy, what would be the repercussions and other things? Right? So let's see how best you are applying your techniques such as you discuss in the classes. Okay, so that's the proposal for the day, and it should be, I think, given you 2,500 words maximum. Use information, external information to nourish your answer. If a colleague in just make a paper, tani colleague leela denna පුළුවන් මෙන්න මේක recovery plan එක කියලා. That is not the way. You have to structure your answer. මේක කියන්නේ ඇයි මෙහෙම කියන්නේ හේතුව කියලා දීලා තියෙන තොරතුරු වලට අමතරව, right? If external factor, market external factor වලින් ගන්න information මත තමයි අපි මේ decision එකට එන්නේ කියන එක you have to establish. Okay. Any questions? Any questions? No questions? Easy, no? Okay, then we'll wind up for the day. No questions. So I hope that you'll be able to prepare this project report, submit on the, I think, 14th of February, I given the dates. So before that, you submit the report to the IBSL. So let's go through. And I think the examination also going to be conducted after the finish of course. There are few topics to be completed. I think after that you may be able to you'll see the results with the project reports or the question papers answers can be answered. Okay.